In the 1930s, Detroit street cleaner Joseph Figlock was going about his day, sweeping sidewalks like usual. Then something unbelievable happened. A baby fell from a high apartment window, right onto him. The child had slipped from a mother's arm several stories up. But instead of tragedy, Figlock broke the fall, and both survived. The papers called it a miracle, but no one expected it to happen again. Yet the following year, it did. Another toddler, this time a 2-year-old, plunged from a 4th-story window in a different part of the city. And once again, Figlock just happened to be walking below. And once again, he caught the child. People started calling him the baby magnet. Some said it was blind luck. Others, something else. Because what are the odds that one man would be in the right place at the exact right moment? Not once, but twice. In 1898, an obscure author named Morgan Robertson published a novel called Futility. It told the story of a massive British ocean liner, the largest of its kind, called the Titan, described as unsinkable. It had too few lifeboats and carried scores of wealthy passengers across the North Atlantic. Then, tragedy. The Titan strikes an iceberg and sinks. 14 years later, fiction blurred into reality. The RMS Titanic, also hailed as unsinkable, set off on its maiden voyage. It too had too few lifeboats. Its size, structure, and even its name bore uncanny resemblance to Robertson's ship. And just like the Titan, the Titanic hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic and went down. Robertson had once served as a merchant sailor. He understood ship design. He knew maritime routes. Maybe it was educated guesswork, but still, the name, the iceberg, the North Atlantic, the lack of lifeboats, it's hard to ignore just how much Robertson's Titan resembled the real thing. Coincidence? Maybe. But when fiction mirrors reality this closely, it's hard not to wonder. In the 1970s, Anthony Hopkins was cast in a film called The Girl from Petrovka, based on a novel by George Pfeiffer. Wanting to understand the character better, Hopkins searched all over London for a copy of the book. He checked every major bookstore. Nothing. Then at Leicester Square Station, waiting for his train, he spotted something on a bench. A book. The Girl from Petrovka. Even stranger, when he opened it, he found handwritten notes inside. Months later, during filming, Hopkins met the author George Pfeiffer. Casually, Pfeiffer mentioned that he had once lost his personal annotated copy of the book, somewhere in London. Hopkins handed him the copy he'd found. It was the very same one. A book lost by its author, found by the actor cast to bring it to life. A twist even Hollywood couldn't write. In 1922, British aristocrat Lord Carnarvon helped fund the discovery of one of history's greatest finds, Pharaoh Tutankhamun's tomb. He stood alongside Howard Carter as the seal was broken for the first time in over 3,000 years. Just months later, Carnarvon was dead from an infected mosquito bite. Oddly, the bite matched a wound found on Tutankhamun's face, and at the moment of his death, all the lights in Cairo reportedly went out. That's when talk of a curse began, but it didn't stop there. Lord Westbury, whose son worked closely with Carter, jumped to his death from a London window. His son, Richard Bethel, had died months earlier under unclear circumstances. Some believed the curse had followed them back to Britain, and they weren't alone. Carter's secretary died suddenly. The radiologist who x-rayed the mummy fell ill and never recovered. Even Carnarvon's half-brother met a strange end, and at least a dozen others connected to the excavation would later die in mysterious or premature ways. Too many deaths, too many threads, all leading back to one tomb. Was it all coincidence, or did they disturb something best left buried? On July 28, 1900, King Umberto I of Italy sat down for dinner at a small restaurant in Monza. What began as a routine meal quickly turned surreal because the man who owned the restaurant looked exactly like him. Same face, same height, same build, even the same moustache. But it didn't stop there. They started talking, and things got eerie. Both were named Umberto, both born on March 14th, 1844, in the same Italian town. Both married women named Margherita. And the restaurant? It had opened on the same day Umberto was crowned king. What are the odds? But the strangest part came the very next day. The restaurant owner was shot and killed in what newspapers called a mysterious accident. Just hours later, King Umberto was assassinated by an anarchist. Some believe the assassin may have mistaken the restaurant owner for the king, killing the wrong man first. Mark Twain was born in 1835, the same year Halley's Comet passed Earth. It would return roughly every 76 years. In 1909, Twain made a strange prediction. He said, "I came in with Halley's Comet, and I expect to go out with it." He wasn't joking. On April 21st, 1910, just one day after the comet's closest approach, Mark Twain died, exactly as he said he would. Was it timing or a lucky guess? A man who told stories his whole life ended with one that was real. In 2002, on a quiet stretch of Highway 8 in Rahe, Finland, a 70-year-old man was cycling when tragedy struck. A truck driver, unable to see him in time, hit and killed him. A rare and tragic accident. But what happened next was beyond belief. Just 2 hours later, less than 2 kilometers down the same road, another cyclist was killed. Same kind of truck, same type of accident. And the victim? The first man's identical twin brother. They'd been riding separately, unaware of each other's movements. The two truck drivers completely unrelated. Even police were stunned. As one officer put it, "This is simply a historic coincidence. Some say twins share an unseen bond, a connection science hasn't yet explained. They were born together, died together, and had no idea the other was even nearby." And those were just a few of the strangest coincidences ever recorded. Maybe they're nothing more than random events lining up in ways our minds struggle to comprehend. Or maybe they're reminders that reality can sometimes be stranger than anything we could invent, because every once in a while, the world creates a coincidence so unlikely, it feels almost impossible. If you enjoyed this journey through the strange and unexpected, there are many more stories waiting to be uncovered. Until then, keep looking closer, because sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones that actually happened.